Hi everybody, I am back. I'm back with braces. I am back doing new style of videos. I thought, what do I miss the most? What do I love to do? I love doing makeup and I love having deep conversation with myself. Just kidding. With you, I thought the new format of videos that I'm going to be doing is putting on my makeup while we talk, and we talk about stuff that has been on my mind, which at the moment happens to be things to do with being a mother, toddler tantrums, sleep training discussions, and talking about birth trauma. So if you are interested in that, in watching me chat away about these things while I do my makeup, then please keep watching. So first of all, I would like to say it feels so nice to be filming again. It has been a minute because being a new mom, I say new mom, my baby is now 19 months old, but that's still very new. And when you do not have any childcare or anyone else to be helping, you kind of have to time things during naps. So we're kind of keeping it real here. There's no fancy backdrop that I used to have. So please subscribe if you think you would enjoy watching me do my makeup while we have a little chat. So I'm starting with some foundation. I call it foundation, but it's not really foundation. It is the Laura Mercier, it's their new tinted moisturizer light revealer. I actually still mix it with some moisturizer because I just have really dry skin that needs that. So I kind of wanted to talk about how the media portrays being a mom and like having kids, having babies, and I guess like just society in general. There's this weird thing that like once you're a mom, you're not allowed to complain about anything to do with childcare or like anything that you didn't expect, or like life being really difficult, because you're supposed to just be so thankful that you know, have a healthy child and all this stuff, which of course is, you know, is a given to me. And this whole thing of like, oh well, if you are not ecstatically happy 24/7, then you don't love your child or you don't appreciate them, which is just insane, because she is my world. Like Athena is everything to me, everything more. She's the best thing that ever happened to me. But equally, I feel like we should just be a bit more honest about what it actually entails, like what being a mom actually entails. And so then also on the subject of that, I wanted to talk about gentle parenting. Now I'm a massive fan of gentle parenting. I, you know, follow that. I just naturally like followed that way of doing things. Like I didn't actually realize it was a thing until I realized, like on Instagram, that there's like all these accounts about gentle parenting, and then that all these people have courses on gentle parenting as well. And like I'm all for, like, I think it's absolutely fine to like sell courses on things like this, and it probably is helpful for like some people, but it's when these accounts, I found that following them made me feel like I was a really like mother, because they don't really account for like those times where you just cannot make things better. Like you can't make your child stop the tantrum in its tracks and, you know, make them suddenly into this angel child by, you know, getting down on your knees and trying to reason with them and explain things to them. And there comes a point where like you've done all that and you've explained like 1,000 times, you've validated their emotions and all of that, and they're still going absolutely crazy. Especially like my little girl, she's only 19 months old, so she's only just over 1.5, but she's always been like not ahead like of her time, but she's always been very like, from even as a newborn, like she wanted to sit up straight away. She sat up early, she rolled early, she started walking, well at a normal time she started walking at 12 months. Actually it was on Christmas Day, just before her birthday, but she runs, like she walked for like 2 days and then started running. She's very much an independent little soul, and now that she's heading towards becoming a toddler, She wants to do everything for herself, which is great, like in one way, but in another sense, she will have full-on breakdowns over things that as adults we find somewhat ridiculous, but I completely understand that it's not ridiculous. And I think what I'm trying to say is that tantrums are age appropriate, and like toddlers having tantrums it's a thing, and it's gonna happen no matter what you do. And so I think that sometimes these accounts can make you feel like, oh well, if you follow our step-by-step program and whatnot, like this will never happen, and that if it is happening you're doing something wrong. And I just personally don't think that's the case. I'm just using the Natasha Denona palette. I actually reviewed it on here, like I think it was about 2 years ago. I still love it, and I'm gonna go in with this shade here. This is my absolute favorite one. It's called Crease, and it's like my everyday go-to. So yes, that leads me on to sleep training, and that is another like minefield that like I feel like they really try to divide parents on this, and I just find it so bizarre in that I feel like it's such a personal thing. If it works for you and your family, then amazing. And like I hate all the judgment around it as well. Like the judgment around sleep training is just, I don't know, like, and all the studies that they did, it really freaked me out. And we didn't sleep train our daughter because of the fear that I had of like all the things that I read on like how it affects their attachment, and how it, you know, can give them anxiety for life and like all this stuff. And it really freaked me out. And then I found out that that study was a study that they did on, it was absolutely awful, but it was a study on like Romanian orphans who were neglected like all the time. Like it wasn't a case of like, oh, the parents tried sleep training where they went in every 5 minutes and, you know, like that whole thing. So anyway, we didn't even attempt it till quite late, because actually my baby, she had really severe reflux, and it's like really not recommended when a baby has reflux. So we couldn't really do it like early on, and then by the time like her reflux sorted when she was 1 year old, she just wasn't having it, and she was way too like mobile by then. And then yeah, it just didn't really work for us. But equally, like I absolutely couldn't give a about what other mums are doing and if they like do it or not. And I just felt like for Athena specifically, it just wasn't right for her, and it wasn't right for her. And having said that, like now we're kind of in a place where she normally has like a 2-hour nap, which is when I would like be filming something like this. But of course today, because it's like she knew I wanted to film, she absolutely refused to have a nap. And now if I don't put her in a snoozy sack, and she's in her cot, she can actually climb out her cot, which is quite dangerous. And we're still in the process of trying to make the room safe and stuff for her. We're in a rented property where we can't get rid of this double bed that came with the property. So we're trying to keep her like in the cot like as long as possible. And if she's in a sleepy sack, then it's fine, because she like doesn't even attempt to like get out, and she just like really can't. But for daytime naps, she like hates getting in a sleepy sack. So I just like, it's so hot in her room, it's really warm in the UK at the moment, so I just put her in like her little t-shirt or whatever she's wearing like during the day in her nappy, because it's just too hot anyway. And normally she goes to sleep really easily like for a nap, but the past week she's been fighting it like more and more and more. I don't know if I'm heading into a 19-month sleep progression. I feel like we've been in a sleep progression for 19 months anyway. So it's not really gonna make that much difference. But anyway, thankfully her dad was actually home today, working from home, and so bless him, for his lunch break he's wheeling her around in the pram to try and get her to sleep. And actually he did just send me a picture and she is asleep, but she never like naps well. in the pram either. That's the thing, is that babies are just so different, like so different. There's like, I'm always quite jealous of people whose babies will just sleep for like 2 hours in the pram, and like you can go about like doing things and they don't wake from the noises. She's never ever done that. Oh, by the way, I got my eyebrows microbladed. I think I got the first set done in May and then the top up in June. It's been really good. So this is my eyebrows with like absolutely no no eye pencil or like anything in them. For the most part, it's like really been like amazing for me, like it's worked really well. But I do find that there are still some little bits that I need to fill in the past month, that I feel like some of the microblading has like started to wear off, like around here. So I absolutely love this pencil. It's the Benefit Precisely My Brow. So yeah, what were we saying? So yeah, sleep training, I just think is a whole, I don't know, it's just a whole other thing. There's just so many like do's and don'ts and don'ts and do's, and I just feel like there's never any focus on the mum and the baby. It's just all about baby. Like I feel like from the moment you give birth, that's all anyone cares about. It's like no one cares about the mum anymore, and I feel like it's a joint thing. I'm not saying don't care about the baby, of course not, but I feel like it needs, like, to thrive, like it needs both of you doing well. And I have to say, like, I had really bad postpartum anxiety rather than depression. It was more anxiety, and it's because I was getting absolutely no sleep, like whatsoever. And I guess if you were to ask if I were to ever have another baby, which I don't think is gonna actually be possible because of the hyperemesis that I had during the first pregnancy, I cannot imagine going through that and surviving while looking after another baby. It's just not, I just don't think it would be fair to my daughter now, or to me. But let's just say I did have another baby. Would I sleep train if they didn't have reflux? I think I would. I think I would try that, like when they're younger, because I was just a mess. I was an absolute mess postpartum. And it's the same, like it's like all these classes and stuff that they have, and you know that there's all the hypnobirthing and the classes you can go to before you have a baby, and I don't know why no one ever speaks about the things that really matter. Birth trauma is such a big one as well that I feel we just don't talk about. I think most people think, I thought birth trauma meant that you had to have like some huge horrific emergency like that happened to feel that way, and that if you know you and your baby were if your baby was healthy, then you really shouldn't consider that it was a trauma of any kind. But I realized more recently that that's actually not the case. And I'm just going to do my eyeliner because I cannot speak and do eyeliner. Oh my god, ever do your eyeliner and you're like, this one is perfect, this one is too thick, so now I'm going to have to make the perfect one thicker when I actually didn't want it to be thicker. First world problems right there. So yeah, I was talking about birth trauma, and you know, I actually had to, it was about 6 months ago now when they finally got everything together, but they gave me like I don't know what it's called, like it's where they go through your notes and stuff with you, you know, because of the C word that's been happening around the world. I feel like my whole birth experience was just awful, because there was just so many things that I feel would have been different had it not been during a world pandemic, because it was like not being able to have my partner there till I was specific centimeters dilated and all this stuff, like and then, you know, I'll be honest, I have permanent injuries from the way they sutured me up, where they messed up, and they stitched me up wrong, and I now have to either live with what they've done or have like another operation to fix it. And that operation isn't guaranteed to fix it, and it might make things worse. And you know what, like I just feel like women have been somehow told that they're not supposed to talk about these things, like they're not supposed to scare women into, you know, not having babies and stuff. And I don't think it's like that at all. I just wish I knew more. Like I wish I was more informed, and that I was more informed of my options. Everything was fine and my daughter's perfectly fine, but I as the mother was not perfectly fine. And it just feels like it's like they just don't give about women once they've given birth and during, like as well, like the whole thing. Like I was really lucky that once I got into the birthing suite, I had like really good midwives, but before that it was horrific and they treated me appallingly, and I kept screaming for pain relief. My partner was not allowed to be with me. They kept promising me this like morphine shot that I never got, and they put me in a room all by myself. When I say all by myself, I don't only mean like without my partner, I mean with nobody. They put me in this room by myself for 2 hours while I was in labor. They kept telling me that oh, I couldn't have dilated anymore, I was still at like 2 centimeters, and I was like no dude, I can feel that I'm definitely not, and something is up. I am having a baby. And I was just stuffed in this room after being awake all night. I laugh about it now, but it was awful at the time. And I remember I was trying to get to the thing to pull for someone to come help me, because I was on the floor, I was crouched, and I was having really severe contractions. Anyway, by the time somebody came, they did like an examination that I really didn't want. It was extremely painful. I kept screaming for the woman to stop. She did not. She didn't give a crap about my pain. It felt like she was punching me like in the cervix. Like it was horrifying. But they said that I had to have that to A, have the epidural I requested, and B, for my partner to be allowed back into the hospital, which is just insane. Like there is no other situation in life where someone has the right to shove their fingers inside your body when you are in agony and you're going through childbirth, and that is the only way that they're going to give you pain relief or let your partner or somebody who is your family be in the room with you. Like it's just insane. Like it was insane. Anyway, that was all like before having my baby, before I got into the birthing suite. And it was just, yeah, I was just treated appallingly. And the same afterwards. Like I don't know if it's because it was New Year's Day, so my daughter arrived at 20 minutes before midnight on the 31st of December 2020. And I have this spot here that is just driving me crazy. And because of that, it was New Year's Eve. I felt like they wanted to rush the birth because it was getting towards 12 o'clock and I was still going and still pushing, and this doctor came in and she was like, I can have her out in 10 minutes with forceps. And I knew I did not want a forceps delivery, but they convinced me that it was so normal, it'd be fine, I would have absolutely no issues. Yeah, well, I think they did like a really rushed job. I'm using the Hourglass Ambient palette. They did such a rush job, I think, because they were like eager to get out for New Year's Eve, that they didn't stitch me up properly. And like I said, like in the postnatal ward, I had complete fecal incontinence. Like I'm just being real with you guys. And I had that for 2 weeks afterwards. And no one cared in the postnatal ward. There were staff there who did not even speak English. If you don't speak the language of the country that you were working in a hospital, I'm sorry, but you should not be in that job. Like, you need to be able to communicate with patients. They need to be able to communicate with you. They did not understand what I was saying. They kept being like, oh, yes, you're bleeding because you just have a baby. And I was like, no, like, this is not bleeding. I am literally myself, and I need you to help me and give me some sanitary stuff. They kept saying we don't have any in this ward or like anywhere in this hospital because we're not prepared for this. Honestly, it was so bad. It was so bad. I'm so close to like naming the hospital, but you know, probably shouldn't. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that we just need to change the way that we see. Oh no, I don't want this lipstick. Oh, this is the one that I wanted. It is the, oh, this is my holy grail. Holy grail is the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk. You'll probably like see me wear this every single day of my life. So yeah, horrific experience in the postnatal ward and afterwards, and it's still ongoing. Like they still, even just trying to get to see a specialist has been insane. Like I'm now like a whole year and a half post birth and still dealing with all these problems, and still waiting to see the surgeon to know what I should do. And so yeah, I just think we should be able to talk about these things more openly. I really want women to be able to speak about these things more openly. If you also have any thoughts on any of the subjects I've spoken about today on toddler tantrums, gentle parenting, and how it actually makes you feel when you see all these Instagram accounts promoting all these courses that will give you the perfect toddler. What are your thoughts on the whole sleep training arguments, in the sense that why can't we just let people be and do what they need to do? And also, yeah, discussions around birth trauma and how we need to treat women better in hospitals and in maternity units. Leave your comments below because I would love to start a discussion on this, and I am really thinking of starting a podcast soon, so let me know if you would also be interested in that. And it's just so lovely to be back.